Imagine if Elden Ring had microtransactions. There's a store page right there on the menu, there's a battle pass and a rotating inventory of items to buy. There's an experience booster that makes it so you get runes faster. Hey, you can just buy runes directly if you want to. There's even an unbreakable sacrificial twig so you don't lose anything when you die. You just pay $4.99 and that mechanic is whoosh, gone. You could buy any weapon or armor set you wanted, but if you want the really good stuff, be sure to rank up that Frenzied Flame Fun Pack Battle Pass and unlock the Finger Crawler's Golden Cod piece at rank 99. Costs $10, but don't worry. If you spend 10,000 hours grinding, you can get it just as easy. I'm imagining it, and it would be terrible. But it's not like this hasn't happened before. Most people play Elden Ring by themselves, but there are co-op and PvP elements to it, which makes it the perfect fit for some unscrupulous publisher or developer to slot in a bunch of unwanted and unneeded microtransactions. As an action RPG, it's technically in the same genre as Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, after all. If you watch this channel enough, or hell, are aware that we play video games, you probably know that we don't like microtransactions. Does anyone? I doubt it. But when you're strictly talking about multiplayer, there's at least an argument for why they're there, especially if the game's free to play. There's a lot of issues with those games too. Free-to-play games can be some of the most predatory, dark pattern design games out there, but there are also a lot of them that are as ethical as it can be as far as these things go. Developers do need to make a living somehow, and having in-game purchases with some game that costs you no money otherwise, it can be how multiplayer-centric studios survive and thrive. It's not always how it goes. A lot of the time they suck there too. But with single-player games, it's way harder to justify it, especially when the game comes at full price. They're almost always unnecessary, distracting, and in a lot of ways actively make the game worse. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, we're going to talk about why microtransactions in single-player games suck. Back to if Elden Ring had microtransactions. If that was true, the delicate balance the devs crafted for the game would just be broken. A key element of the experience, the exploration of the world, could just be completely bypassed if you just buy whatever equipment you wanted from the in-game store. You wouldn't need to challenge yourself or learn the game at all. You could just run through everything super easy. There would be no hard-fought victories, no close calls. It wouldn't be the same game. The difficulty part isn't that bad in isolation, though, even. If you want to use an easy mode mod, have at it. If you want to load up a save file with 2 of every weapon at max level and do whatever you want, yeah, go for it. No shame, really. It's not about you. The problem here is that with microtransactions, you're paying extra for the privilege. That's the issue here. You're paying for something that should be free. Way back in the day, a lot of what I mentioned there would just be a cheat code, but now you're paying for it. With a lot of multiplayer games, you feel like you're getting more when you buy stuff, things that you normally wouldn't be able to get. It generally feels additive to the experience, even if it's cosmetic only, which it should be. But with so many microtransactions in a single-player game, it feels like subtractive, like you're losing something. Something is taken out of the game and sold back to the player at a premium, and it feels like you're getting ripped off. Like, imagine they made a sequel to Elden Ring where half the weapons and armor sets that you'd normally get through progression or exploration, imagine that stuff, it's sold at a cash shop. That's how the original microtransaction controversy started, all the way back in 2006 when Bethesda sold Horse Armor DLC on the Xbox Live Marketplace. It's definitely not the first game at all to have microtransactions. You can trace in-game purchases all the way back to 1985 to stuff like Gauntlet, where you could put in quarters to refill your health bar, but Horse Armor ended up being a watershed moment in the industry. There was a time before Horse Armor and a time after Horse Armor, and in that one highly specific way, Horse Armor is like Christ. No, strike that from the record, please. At the time, it might have seemed like it was stupid for people to get so worked up over something so small and innocuous. I mean, seriously, people getting riled up over horse armor? Who cares? There's children starving in Africa or something. except they are completely right to be mad. Look at the state of the industry now. Microtransactions are everywhere. People were completely right to be concerned. And the horse armor really should have just been in that game originally, not sold as DLC at all. Rather than taking things out, some games just let you skip in line and pay to access stuff you'd normally have to work for, which it's still kind of eh. Players can just buy unlockables with microtransactions, and Capcom has gone hard on this actually recently. With their recent output, it's pretty much all stellar, but there's just no getting around how much the microtransactions in these games suck. Instead of earning rewards like the super gun and infinite ammo upgrades, by earning them, you can just skip all that and get all the weapons, and now they're forever in your inventory. You don't have to use the intentionally overpowered stuff if you don't want to, but it's hard not to resist the siren call of the samurai edge. Playing with these things is meant to be a reward for completing the game, not a reward for paying the money. You got through the challenge, and now it's time to just have some fun.
Jesus Christ!
But if the game just lets you buy from the start, where's the fun? It's kind of just trivializing the difficulty also. For a lot of people, kind of ruins the game. Which again, if it was a cheat code or a mod or something, fine, who cares? But you're paying for it. Take the Resident Evil 4 remake. For some reason, you can buy pesetas with real money. This led to people accusing the game of being intentionally stingy with in-game currency to encourage players to drop a few bucks and buy the real stuff. It was, to be fair, an unfounded claim if one investigates into the situation. If you've actually played it, you know that you can get through it just fine without spending any extra money. The balance is very similar to the original game, so you can get most, but not every item, and upgrade from the merchant. But the existence of microtransactions calls all the developers' motives into question. That's kind of what sucks about real money shops. Even if they're perfectly optional and you can play the game just fine without engaging in it, there's always this invasive thought that maybe that's not the case. Is the game hard because it's supposed to be challenging, or is it because the games want me to pay to make the game easier? Like, imagine you're given a plate with your favorite meal on it. You're very hungry too, and then the cook pulls out a gun, puts it to your head, and says, "You better eat it, and you better like it." Like, it does mess with your enjoyment a little bit. It's certainly not the same thing as just eating your favorite meal, but I'll move on from my little metaphor here and talk about Assassin's Creed for a moment. In Assassin's Creed's case, microtransactions don't make the game easier, but rather faster. Ubisoft sold these things they called time savers, which made you level up faster. With Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it could sometimes feel like the game really wants you to just pay up because leveling up is just excruciatingly slow at times. I think the game was meant to be really, really long, but if you're an impatient player who just wants to follow the main story, those time savers start looking mighty appealing after a short while. This is more of a niche problem, but another thing that's so annoying about single-player microtransactions is that a lot of the time there's no way to turn them off. Like in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, even if you buy the gold edition of the game that includes all the DLCs, which are pretty decent actually, you also get these stupid time savers that give you a permanent XP boost. So if you want to play the game the intended way, with the slower leveling, you're out of luck. Now you get to stare at this stupid little symbol telling you you're boosted that's always on the screen for the rest of the game. The problem is when single-player microtransactions actively make the game worse, either through their inclusion or how they affect the overall experience. Take Dead Space 3's weapon modding system. It was made specifically to sell microtransactions. Instead of the unique weapons, the original two games, you get Create a Gun with parts you can buy from EA. It's basically Build-A-Bear workshop for your friggin' gun. And the careful balance that's integral to the survival horror experience is just out the window. Now, instead of unique necromorph encounters with different enemies, most of the game is just you getting swarmed by generic zombies. Balance, it's totally shot because of the weapon modding system. The game has to be able to account for every possible weapon setup you might have, so every encounter feels the same. And it's there. It's explicitly only there because EA wanted microtransactions in the game. Pure and simple. Dead Space 3 is technically a co-op game, but there's a reason for that too. There's a reason so many games add multiplayer components or cooperative elements. It's so they can insert microtransactions. So many games have been made worse by this. Like, look at Middle-earth: Shadow of War. The original version of the game was wretched because players were forced to engage with a stupid in-game store where you could buy and sell orcs. For the base game, easy to ignore, fine, yeah. But the post-game Shadow Wars, total slog unless you purchase overpowered orcs with real frickin' money. The Shadow Wars stuff would be a little more forgivable if it wasn't the only way to get the true ending, but it was, so it was unacceptable. At least Monolith managed to fix the game later and remove the store, but most games are not so lucky. For single-player games to have microtransactions, developers don't just make the game more grindy and tedious, they take away features we've come to expect. Things that should not be restricted become harder to do, things that should be free become things they expect us to pay for. Like Starfield's paid mods. Bethesda has been trying to find a way to monetize the popular modding scene for a while now, and it's only made their games more frustrating to deal with because of it. I mean, at least their games can still be modded. A lot of games with the in-game stores and microtransactions try to block mods, so people are forced to spend money on in-game currency and rewards. With mods, people get costumes for free. They can edit their save to start from level 100 from the start, jump to any part of the game, blah, blah, blah. The sort of free access to the game that should be commonplace is now just getting harder to do because it interferes with the game's revenue goals. And it's also why there's been so many online-only requirements for single-player games. It's not to benefit the player, it's so the game is tied to a central server and players can't modify their save files. The saves are inaccessible, so the only way to cheat, or rather cheap, is to buy it. Even when a single-player game is completely microtransaction-free, it can still ruin the game. Look at Rockstar. For a little while, they're making high-quality DLCs for their single-player modes. I'm talking about stuff like episodes from Liberty City for GTA 4 and Undead Nightmare from Red Dead Redemption. Grand Theft Auto 5 was gonna get similar expansions, but the runaway success of GTA Online just put a stop to it. There was gonna be a Secret Agent Trevor expansion. They even brought the actor Stephen Ogg back in to record lines for it, and it would have been amazing, but the amount of money Rockstar was making from shark cards meant the company put their resources to GTA Online. Nothing else matters. And if I'm completely honest, I get it. I totally get it. I don't like it, but I get it. They aren't just trying to make money for themselves. They're trying to make money for their shareholders, and that's an obligation for them. That doesn't make it good, doesn't make it okay. It just explains it. But I mean, something I don't like about it is that publishers are savvy. They know that hardcore players hate microtransactions, so they try to keep it a secret. They do underhanded stuff like insert an in-game store a few weeks after the game launches, or they keep it out of review copies only to add microtransactions into the game with a day one patch, which is required, by the way. Remember Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled? They pulled that little trick a few years back. The game came out to positive reviews, and Activision sweared up and down, there's not gonna be no microtransactions. I don't know why Activision has that particular accent, but whatever. They pulled the rug out from under everybody a few weeks later. The game was good, and suddenly with an update, it was made much worse. In the game's defense, the basic campaign was still fun, but if you wanted to play with any of the many skins or bonus characters, it was a massive slog, unless you paid real money. There's a reason the mobile phone market is such a wasteland for quality content. It's because the almighty power of the microtransaction. It's a massive market that dwarfs the traditional game market because it's so much easier to make money when your game is just a glorified slot machine, only these ones pay out with JPEGs instead of money, because you can make money out of a slot machine. Not this version, not the video game version, the real one, which, I mean, that makes the real one sound less bad, right? Publishers want the video game market to be the mobile game market. They want all those billions of dollars, but if they were to actually do that, the hobby as we know it would just be done for. It's already slowly moving in that direction, and while I don't think things are ever going to get that bad per se, they aren't exactly getting better. Games like Assassin's Creed Shadows are possibly having battle passes and online-only requirements. Seems like microtransactions in single-player games are just becoming more common, and it sucks. At least we'll always have the outliers like Insomniac, who will give you plenty of costumes for free, or From Software, who make these massive content-rich games without any of that crap. Nintendo continues to make feature-complete games that can be played offline and don't have in-game shops. That's nice. And there's a lot of AA and indie games that aren't dragged down by monetization. Sure, microtransactions can be annoying and intrusive, but they also take away control from the player. They make modding more restrictive, save editing more frustrating. They force online-only requirements that eventually leave the game unplayable when the central server goes down. Even the best games are at least a little compromised when you introduce microtransactions. The Resident Evil 4 remake, great, but what's with the monetization? It adds nothing, and the game isn't improved from it being there. It just gets the publisher more money, and that's the ultimate goal. Gaming is supposed to be fun. They want to make money off of our fun. And that's what makes microtransactions so bad. It makes games less fun. When you see a microtransaction in a game, elements of the immersion or just fun are broken. Instead of being an untouchable assassin, you remember you're, paying publishers for better boots or something. You're just a consumer to them, a number on a spreadsheet and a resource to be exploited for monetary gain. And it's just a bunch of stuffed out MBAs who don't care about making good games. They're just business guys. They don't care about art. They wouldn't know art if it bit them in the ass. They care about the line on the chart going upward. I don't want to think about that kind of stuff. It sucks that I have to. I just want to kill some zombies. I don't want my horse to just have armor. Come on, man. Microtransactions suck. That's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.